There was discovered a document from the Italian Freemasons that gave away the plan on how they were going to infiltrate the papacy, the office of the Pope. And it gives specific details. I'm going to read one section here. It was written with a pseudonym, Piccolo Tigre, the little tiger. We don't know who this is. He was obviously a leader of the High Vendita, which is the lead Freemasonic lodge, as we would say in English, in Italy. Here's what he writes. As I read this, think about how insightful this is, and then think about our own times, if this could fit. Ready? I'm on page 13 of Infiltration. And this is from the permanent instruction of the Alta Vendita. The Pope, whoever he may be, will never come to the secret societies. It is for the secret societies to come first to the church, with the aim of winning them both. The work which we have undertaken is not the work of a day, nor a month, nor a year. It may last many years, a century perhaps, but in our rank, the soldier dies and the fight continues. Freemasonry is the extension of the Protestant Reformation that happened in 1517 with Martin Luther. Martin Luther was not a good guy. Read up on him, look into it. And 200 years later, Europe was destroyed, and there was no plan because Protestantism broke into hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of denominations every decade. So by 1717, Europe is destroyed. There's no unity. There's a longing for what was once Christendom. That is something that united all Europeans. It's true, a Frenchman was not a German, but in the medieval era, they were united by their common faith and by their allegiance to Christ and the church. This was signified by them being in communion with the Pope. That was all destroyed by Protestantism. So 1517 is Martin Luther. 200 years later, 1717. This is when Freemasonry begins. It's when it's born. And it's the attempt to bring all men into a universal fraternity, a universal brotherhood where everyone is equal. It has the same teachings as the French Revolution because the French Revolution was a fruit of Freemasonry. And its goal is to make all men united and equal under a generic religion with a generic God. You know, it's kind of like when kids, they all draw a picture of God, and one kid draws Jesus, and one kid draws a rainbow, and one kid draws the sun, and one kid draws his parents, and one kid draws a cloudy day. And then the teacher says, "You're all right. Everyone's approximating to the best of their ability what God means for them." That's Freemasonry. They believe that every religion, the Hindus are doing their best to understand deity, and the Buddhists are doing their best, and the Muslims and the Christians are all doing their best. They're all equally correct and equally wrong. That's the Freemasonic teaching. But as my friend and the man I respect so much, Bishop Athanasius Schneider writes, this is from his recent book, Christus Vincit. Everyone should get this book as well. He says, Freemasonry is a movement which has philosophical connections with English deism. As I said before, according to deism, God has nothing to do with us, so we are completely free. This was in some way a mental premise for traditional Freemasons as we know them. At the same time, Freemasonry is a kind of religion. We cannot forget this. At the heart of Freemasonry is a religion, a cult, a worship. So Freemasonry realizes you can never snuff out the religious element in man. As I've said before, man is, yes, he's Homo sapiens, but he's Homo liturgicus. Man is liturgical. And every society has had rites, rituals, hymns, songs. And so Freemasonry doesn't reject that. It just embraces it. And it makes it so that the religion is God being generic. But the key to it is we become God. We are gods. Man is the measure of all things in Freemasonry. That's the compass. We become God. The goal of Freemasonry is the goal of Gnosticism, and it's the goal of Satanism, and that is As Satan said, well, yeah, I'm not a god, but I want to become my own god. And St. Michael said in Hebrew, Mikael, Michael, Mikael, who is like unto God? And he cast Satan down. I have a video on YouTube here if you want to learn more about that. That is the lie. That's what Satan told Eve. You'll become like gods. Then the Alta Vendita goes on to say this: the reputation of a good Catholic and good patriot will open the way of our doctrines to pass them into the hearts of young clergy and go even to the depths of the convents. In a few years, young clergy will have, by the force of events, invaded all offices. They will govern, administer, and judge. They will, from the council of the sovereign, they will be called upon to choose the pontiff who will reign. That's scary. This is in the 1840s, 50s, probably the 40s, but it discovered in the 1850s. The Pope got a copy of this, and it was published by subsequent popes, Pius IX and Leo XIII. They wanted people to know, look, these Freemasons are trying to infiltrate the papacy. So he says, look, we go for the young people, and we get the young priests. You got to get the young priests. The old priests, they're all set in their ways. You get the young priests, and you even get it all the way into the convents. Start getting the religious brothers, the nuns, the sisters, get everybody. And we got to give them the new ideas of Freemasonry. The earth is living. All religions are equal. Economic equality, aka communism. All of these things are what are taught by Freemasonry. Secularism. Secularism as spirituality. That's Freemasonic. So you get the young clergy. First you get the children, it says, get little kids. Then focus on the young clergy and the young religious and the nuns and the convents and the friars and the monks. And then eventually they will, he says, govern, administer, and judge, and they will become the new cardinals, and they will elect the pope we want. He goes on to say, the goal is so beautiful that we must put all sails to the wind in order to attain it. If you want to revolutionize Italy, look for the Pope whose portrait we have just drawn. This was discovered and published to the world in 1859. I hold it probably goes to the 1840s. Do you want to establish the reign of the chosen ones on the throne of the whore of Babylon? Let the clergy march under your banner, while they naively believe they are marching under the banner of the apostolic keys. Scary. I mean, they're invoking the whore of Babylon here. And they're saying, let the clergy march under your banner. Then it says, do you want to wipe out the last vestige of the tyrants and oppressors? Cast your nets like Simon Bar-Jonah. Cast them deep into the sacristy, the seminaries, and the monasteries, rather than at the bottom of the sea. So he says, look, remember Christ told them to cast their nets? This is Antichrist. This is satanic. He says, be like Simon Bar-Jonah, but don't cast your nets into the sea to catch fish. Cast your nets into the sacristy. What's a sacristy? That's where priests get ready to say mass. That's where they keep the chalices and the vestments. They go there and get those priests. Corrupt those priests in the sacristy. Go to the seminaries, he says. What are seminaries? That is where the seedlings are developed for the priesthood, where men are trained to become priests. Go there and corrupt those young men. Get them on board with the Freemasonic agenda. And then he says, go into the monasteries. Where are the monasteries? That's the heartbeat of prayer in the church. 1840s. He goes on and says, and if you do not rush things, we promise you a catch more miraculous than this. He's mocking God. He's saying, if you don't rush this, our catch will be bigger than the catch of Jesus and Peter.